Permanent resistance goal. Why? Warum? So, first thing is I put it your post in Google Translate and I will read it to you because it triggered me. Tine Milz is posting.
Theatertreffen. Is this actually intended as a farce? To amuse and cheer up the entire theater landscape? Funny, there hasn't been nothing to laugh about for a long time. But kidding aside, can it really be that you will make such a selection for 21? That's pretty irritating, it's pretty embarrassing. Unfortunately, that is also quite reactionary. That is quite a step backwards. Is that your answer to 2020? Is that your answer to systemic importance? Did the jury spend a year on another globe? Or did I miss something? Are you really serious? Unfortunately, you are currently leveraging yourselves and showing how little relevant this festival is. Actually, it is really boring to criticize the Theatertreffen. Actually, we shouldn't have to have this debate in 21. Actually, here are a few thoughts.
Are you really being in such a position and saying that Theatertreffen is irrelevant?
Yes, honest, Theatertreffen is irrelevant since, I would say, almost 30 years, because it was invented to bring theater pieces to the separate Berlin, to show other theater pieces in Berlin. That's actually the tradition of Theatertreffen. And since some years we are quite unified, whatever unified means. And this festival in this tradition kind of doesn't make sense. Why to bring an elitarian establishment to Berlin? Why? It's a big theater family meeting in Berlin, having a super great elitarian time. Why not?
Isn't it also a chance for new people to be shown on the scene?
Yeah, that would be great. Then this festival would make sense for me. And of course, they invited sometimes great young emerging artists, but I don't know if that's enough, because 90% is super establishment, is boring, and there's so many new voices, there's so many critical voices, there's so many diverse languages also in aesthetics and in themes and topics, and I don't see it. And I know, being part of the system, that there's so much more outside, and so much more should be seen.
Why is it that German speaking theater is like his position? And I'm saying his.
Yeah, I would also say his, because it's not really a her. A her is coming in slowly, that there are female voices, but that's not enough, because apparently what they finally achieved is die Frauenquote, the women's quota. Wow, 50% of the invites are female. Wow, is there also more than female? Is there also another gender maybe? It's a different question, but hey, cool that you achieved that. Check, but you forgot about a lot of other check boxes. It's in the hand of a lot of people who are afraid to change, who want to preserve the traditions because they're afraid that if they change, that maybe there will be a new audience. But what I think what happens is that there is no audience really going to theaters anymore, or always the same. We're doing theater for the same quite citoyen minded people who are well educated and who see going to theater is
Friday night I dress fine and I go to theater and I'm super politically correct, and that's for me what I appreciate.
There are also so many other people who don't even have a contact with the cultural scene, or who don't see themselves represented in theaters, or their voices or their stories. The interesting part, I think, with theater is that you can see someone else on stage. You can reflect on someone other's reality, see a new perspective. You have a distance to yourself, because you can project your ideas and your thoughts into someone else, and you also receive something.
Putting in this selection theater pieces which are seen by a few people. like by a certain circle of people. We had 2020. I went to see the selection of the 10 most important theater pieces of this year. And my first primitive thought was, okay, they are giving prestige to pieces which nobody saw. I mean, maybe there was a few people who saw it, but what is the point about making a Theatertreffen, which is like theater meeting in English, when nobody actually met?
The theaters were closed. And why do you then invite a super middle-class white place that are not reflecting? We're facing a crisis of how utopian can our structures be. We have to change the society, and we also have to change the theater. And this is the answer. This selection is what you propose.
They made kind of a change with this women's quota, you know. Wow. But for me, in the end, if feminism is only feminism and not also including anti-racism, anti-capitalism, it is no feminism, you know. Then this women's quota,
it's a label. If we continue like this whole theater system is going to be irrelevant and no one cares, really. I am not against of preserving things, not at all. But when you invite a jury that not even have one voice from a different background, well, I'm not surprised that the selection is like this. And I'm against tokenism. I'm against that you then invite one POC voice. Wow, and then it's enough? No, we have to talk about who is in a jury, who is doing selections, who is watching what do we want with a selection like that? And a festival like this has for me always a position or a political position, because you're showing something to the world outside. You're doing a statement.
Especially when you said how it began, that it was introduced to bring
culture to Berlin. Yeah.
Culture to Berlin. Like, I mean, it cannot get more political than this. It was actually very connected to a political action. So, like, go back and remind yourself why you established in the first place this theater.
Yeah, totally. That would be a good preservation of what was the idea and how can we get even better. Because I think that should be the slogan. I want us to do better.
I could say be best.
Your wish for this year's edition was to, go back and reflect the structures of theater. You see that this was a missed goal of the institution of Berliner Festspiele.
I also missed a debate, so a statement of what is the state of the art of theater in Germany. And for me, that's not state of the art what they selected. Definitely not. And then, of course, what you also said before is like, how can you possibly do a festival in 21 where there was almost no theater? Don't we have to use this money for different reasons, like for debating, for funding maybe younger artists, for...
My idea, actually, when I thought about it, I'm hearing that, because for me in Austria, I'm a freelancer and I'm fine. Like, Austria has still structures which are allowing me to be safe economically. But I'm hearing from German colleagues that as a freelancer, it is not that easy during pandemic situation. So why was there nobody to have the idea, for example, to put a light on these people and maybe to give them some money to create some content, which is including this debate, and then showing this debate as the selection? Because when I look at this list, okay, there's 3 things which, if there was no COVID, I would agree, like, super nice that you chose this, like, it's free scene, it's like, opening a horizon. But the rest, normally I don't talk about it because you didn't see it. But there was nobody able to see these pieces, these theater productions. And then I have to go for, okay, I'm going to watch the trailer. And this director, Sebastian Hartmann, said about his Zauberberg. And what I got from it as an idea was like, yes, Zauberberg, it's quarantine and we are in quarantine, so it fits. No. Quarantine is not my only problem, and not mine. Like, go away from yourself. Quarantine is not this world's problem.
Outside of Germany, outside of Austria, outside of Switzerland, this fucking virus just showed us how problematic our world is. It just fueled every other crisis. And also the crisis that we have in our system, like people who do not earn enough, as structures that are super old, that are not family friendly. And there's so much sexism, there's so much racism, there's so much shit going on. We have to react also with selections to those problems. We have to show it. We have to say, yes, we see you, we see your problems.
Okay, so how are we gonna do it? Penetrative resistance call. The logic of PRC. It is like taking this numb effete center, for me, which is Theatertreffen, because it's just like a penetration which is not stopping.
Yes.
How are we gonna twist it and dance with it?
There is no cancel culture. I'm not a fan of cancel culture because I don't want to talk about it actually because it's a term which was invented by people who feel offended by critics.
Yes.
Like, I'm not interested in it. How are we gonna dance with the problem? This is something we used to do.
And you need people to be in your movement, no? Somehow. And I would say, I think giving them an alternative as a jury would already be a super nice invitation for them to be open to see other choices. Maybe we have to think about our structures as a jury, giving them a very nice invitation to see out of the boxes. It's super nice to do that because we're doing the work, basically.
They're just not being paid for it.
My civil service to Theatertreffen. It's my honor to help them see other perspectives.
I was thinking about putting in an alternative selection. So let's put up a jury. And this jury has to offer some alternative pieces.
Yes.
And in the way of, I can already mention you one, which is not even a piece. It's quality in COVID times. I just observed that Pinar Karabulut had an interview in Zeit where she offered, for instance, to lower the costs by sharing a stage setup with her colleague Ersan Montag.
I love this idea. Part 1 and part 2.
Yes.
In the same stage design that they can use however, and they can rebuild it and do whatever they want. But the first part is Pinar and the second part is Ersan. And they are doing somehow a piece together, but with their styles. And their styles are so different. Yeah. This would be so great. But those are the innovative forms I want to see in theater.
People can judge now if it's a nice form or a not nice form, but it is innovative and it is suggestion for our pandemic situation, because by lowering the costs, we can put the other costs to, people who need it more.
And I would say we have to try it. Never a failure, always a lesson. And maybe we need a slogan. It's like, make failure great again.
Be better, make failure great again.